So let's get started. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Professor Danish Moin he's the head of the history department at Maulana Azad Urdu National University in Hyderabad. And he'll be speaking to us about Islamic calligraphy or calligraphy on Islamic coins, which is a subject that he is particularly expert on because he's published a book on the subject. He has also published a couple of other books, one on the coinage of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, another on the coins of the Delhi Sultanate, and there are various other publications that he has produced. And so without further ado, I'd like to hand over to him to start his talk.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, my dear friend, Professor Pankaj Chandan, to address such a august gathering. Of course, it is virtually, but even that. And I'm very happy that my mentor, Joe, is also available here to listen me. That is also a privilege me to speak before you. No, what I wanted to speak to you is about the Islamic calligraphy and medieval Indian coinage in artistic perspective. As Pankaj has already explained to you, the lecture title is based on my book, which was published 2 years back by publication by Dilip Rajgor. So this lecture is based on that. In this, what I wanted to discuss, first let me discuss with you why we call Islamic calligraphy. What is Islamic calligraphy? Islamic calligraphy generally may understood that the Arabic calligraphy, that is the basic concept. So there is no other different type of Islamic calligraphy. We are calling Arabic calligraphy. So Arabic calligraphy is also being known as Islamic calligraphy, and that has become a trend to say, we generally don't call Arabic calligraphy, generally say Islamic calligraphy. So both the words are correct. If somebody is calling the Arabic calligraphy or Persian calligraphy, that can also be understood in the same manner. But I'm trying to understand this calligraphy in connection with the coins of our country, Indian coinage. Why Indian coinage has this type of calligraphy, and what is the relation between these two parts. I have tried my talk in 4 sections. Islamic calligraphy and its development, the first, and then calligraphic development in India, and then Islamic calligraphy in numismatic context, and finally medieval Indian coinage in artistic perspective. These are 4 stages I'm going to cover with you all. The first stage is Islamic calligraphy and development. Every script, either it is Devanagari or it's English or in Greek, every script has one or other way. One way script is the art of writing is called calligraphy. But why Arabic calligraphy became so important? Why Arabic calligraphy got the importance like the art? No script has got this importance as Arabic calligraphy has got this importance. We are speaking in the terms of art and artistic form of in Islamic world. It has a very valid reason why we call it art and why it developed. Second point is in this talk is that it is not very old script like Brahmi and Greek. We have a very old tradition of inscription in Brahmi. But as far as Arabic script is concerned, it is not much old. Maximum we can go by 250 or 271 AD. That is based on some of the inscription found in the different part of the Islamic world. That is Jimal inscription. And that is Nabatean script dating between this 250 to 271. The second is An-Namra Fanari inscription 328, Nabatean script with Arab tendency referring pre-Islamic poet Imrul Qas. Third is bilingual inscription of Zabbat near Aleppo, 512 AD in Arabic and Greek. And the fourth is trilingual inscription is Horon in 518, that was Greek, Syriac, and Arabic script. So it will not go, even the maximum you can go by to 500 and 18 AD, not before the 6th century BC. AD is generally being considered. But I'm not here to discuss entire things about the calligraphy and all that, because calligraphy, the scholars have worked in detail. I just wanted to know why it developed. The reason for that we have to understand. The very interesting thing is that the two important scholars I can name here, one is Abdul Khatibi and Muhammad Sajmasi. They consider that a script of Zabad and Quran are derived from the Syrian and Syro-Palestinian script. But the majority of the scholars believe the above mentioned four inscriptions, which I discussed earlier, together derive their sources from Numismatic. So Arabic script is basically, generally being explained, it's a Numismatic character. The Numismatic character, if you see, that is very much similar to the letter which is found in the present Arabic. So that is the generally accepted. And development, and the third point, very important, why it developed so tremendously. It developed because of Arabic script witness after the advent of Islam. And whereas the Holy Quran became the motivating factor writing, reading Arabic script. Even today, if you see the importance of Arabic, why importance of Arabic is because of the Quran. In the modern period of in 21st century, Quran became the basis of Islam, and that was the reason why the language developed tremendously. When language developed, the calligraphy also developed. I'm coming to the development of calligraphy. As we know, the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, and then after death of Prophet Muhammad, Abu Bakr Siddiq became the first caliph of Islam, and he started. The copy of Quran was made during this period, and people started reading it. And in fact, the reading and practicing Quran became a very important factor. Since Islam does not encourage the rendering of the animate form and artistic concentration on the beautification of alphabet. That was the most important, because you restricted your artist in a particular manner, that you are not supposed to make any figure, you are not supposed to be in a portrait of a king or portrait of a prophet or anybody, any living thing cannot be portrayed. That Islam does not encourage. And if you are an artistic mind person, and I'm an artistic mind, I have to develop my own artistic sense. So these artists who were available during that point, they tried to beautify the letter of alphabet and made them an artistic sense. So the one important reason was they restricted to the artist not to figure anything, so they developed in this manner. Arabic second point is also important. The Arabic alphabet is the best suited from the point of view of adaptability and artistic sense. The letter of Arabic, alif, bet, ta, jim, whatever letter which is there, all are a very, very geometrically designed letter, and which we can make in a different manner. And that was also one reason why it developed tremendously in this period. It is proved that historical evidence that the time of the first three caliphs, Hira script was most accepted script. Ali, the four great caliphs, gave an aesthetic look to Hira script, which was later called Kufic. I just wanted to everybody understand the word Kufic. Kufic is a very important word for the student of Indian numismatics or Islamic Indian numismatics, because this is the most popular script in the early period, 8th century AD or 9th century AD. When you see the coins, this script is very much there. But this was the earliest script of Islamic era. And it's, as I said just now, it has started from the Hira script, and Hira was probably the script, the same script which was known as Hira in the time of Prophet. It was modified by Ali, Prophet, the Caliph Ali. And then the art of Islamic calligraphy was further developed during Umayyad period. A calligrapher named Atiba invented four styles of Arabic calligraphy. Khalid ibn Abadid Junud Abul Yahya Malik ibn Dinar, contemporary to Caliph Abdul Malik, Umar bin Aziz, early 8th century, are the important names. I wanted to tell you there are very important persons who have given all these caliphs who were controlling the Islamic world during those periods. Right from the Umayyad period, Abdul Malik was the man who introduced the Islamic coinage tradition also. He was the man who encouraged a lot to the artists present in his court or in the artists in this. But the most important changes in the time of taken place in the time of Abbasid. And that period is 750 to 1285 is the period where we find a great changes in the Islamic calendar. And this was Al-Muttaqdir, the Abbasid Caliph Al-Muqtadi. The one important name is very popular and probably everybody understand who got some knowledge of epigraphy, that is Ibn Muqalla. Ibn Muqalla is the master of calligraphy. And he has given a lot of concept to calligraphy, and even still we are following his rules revision made by Ibn Muqalla. Ibn Muqalla was made important contribution to Islamic calligraphy by inventing a standardizing Naqshi script along with the creation of Sals, Muhakkak, Rehani, Tawqi, and Rika. Again I'm repeating this four words: Naqshi, Sals, Muhakkak, Rehani, and Tawqi, and Rika. These names which I said is generally been called as Shish Qalam. This is very interesting. Sorry. Yeah. This is a style of cursive writing known as Shish Qalam. Shish Qalam means six peg. These are the six scripts given by him, and it became the basic concept, basic tradition of calligraphy. Anybody is developing himself or herself calligraphy has to base on this four thing, which was given by Ibn Muqalla. And after Ibn Muqalla, Ibn Awwab was also made an important contribution. In the Arabic calligraphy, Ibn Awwab further improved Naqshi style of calligraphy. After this flow, and he have another Abbasid period witnessed the spread of both Naqshi and Kufic script. But Kufic script was gradually losing its crown and mainly confined to the use of decoration and exhalation on monument, while Naqshi, due its heavy adoption, became a spiritual mass. Here is another important fact. This is the period when a new style of calligraphy came into existence in the sense that it became the major script. Earlier, Kufic was everything is being considered. Kufic is the only script. If you see the early inscription, either in any countries of Islamic world, you find the Arabic inscription is always in this in the Kufic style. But from this period onwards, from 10th century AD onwards, Naqshi was given much. And this we can very well see in our coinage. When we come to the coin, that can also be seen. It is interesting to learn the Kufic or Eastern Kufic and Naqshi style of calligraphy we use on the coins of Umayyad and Abbasid. In the second half of the 15th century, a new script known as Nastaliq was introduced. It became more popular in Persia, and most of Persian documents since 1500 AD are written in Nastaliq and Shikasta. Nastaliq is derived from the earlier script Naqsh and Taliq. Again, I'm saying a new script was developed that is called Nastaliq, but the development taken place from where? It was from Naqsh and Taliq, which was Ibn Muqalla who has made the thing. So if you want to make any changes, you have to be based on these six Shish Qalam. So this Nastaliq became very popular. Entire 16th century, not in India as well as in Persia, wherever you see the most accepted calligraphy was Nastaliq. And this is the base on from Taliq and the Naqshi. From that, this new style was developed in Persia, and then it was again come to India, and it was further made some changes in that. I wanted to show you some of the important this calligraphic style. We have given two illustrations here. In the one is the first one is the Kufic, and the second was an Eastern Kufic. And this illustration I have taken from the Safadi, the book by Safadi, published in 1970. So I have taken these illustration from here. I'm just putting it here. And this was also this illustration is also there in my book. Then we have another form of the calligraphy, Naqshi and Sals, a style of the after the faith. These again, You know how the calligraphy is being changed. This style of Nashki is easy to read as compared to the first one. You see, very difficult to read, even if you know the script or language, difficult to read Arabic script in Prophetic. But similarly, if you come to later period when Nashki was introduced, you can read Nashki easily because it is simply easier to read. Then Muhakkak is another style of calligraphy. I can also show you some of the script where Muhakkak is there. Here, and then Reka is also there. These all is calligraphy which I am talking about. These are from Ibn Muqalla. This is a based on Ibn Muqalla's style of writing. Man who was man behind the development of calligraphy is of course Ibn Muqalla. And then another Rahani and Tawqi. So these 5-6 style of calligraphy which was introduced by Ibn Muqalla is just given the example. Based on this information, what I'm trying to do is, based on the calligraphy used by Safawadi and the different scholars by him, I have tried to understand, I have tried to compare the coinage found in India. On the basis of that, I'm in position to say this particular style of calligraphy is Rehani, or this particular style is Nashki, this particular style of calligraphy on Indian coin is Kufi. That is the basis of understanding of my work is this description, which is this illustration. On the basis of that, I have given this information. Now, coming to calligraphic development in India, this for the first international context or Islamic world context. The second question is the beginning of Arabic calligraphy in India can be traced back to 8th century AD. With Arab conquest in Sindh and Multan, it is accepted by the scholar that the first Arabic inscription in India is noticed in a mosque of Kalam in Trivandrum dating 109 Hijri. That is 727 AD. Besides, some inscriptions are reported from Nala Supara, Mumbai, and Navsari near Surat. In Mansura excavation, a few preach leaves Quran stone inscription are reported. Why I am speaking this thing? It has a very valid reason to explain here. I said 8th century AD is beginning of the real sense, the Arabic calligraphic style. That was Arab, of course, they were the person who was, but 8th century AD is the period when our country also have witnessed the Arabic inscription. So Arabic inscription, which was introduced in Arabic script, which was introduced in Arab world, is very much a part of Indian content, Indian subcontinent also. So some of the example I have given from the Nala Supara and Trivandrum, a few inscription has been noticed on the basis of that. So first I'm trying to understand the development in Arabic inscription, then I'll come to the coinage. So the second point, which I see the calligraphic development in India got further boost during Ghaznavid ruler, particularly Mahmud Ghazni and Masood Ghazni. Mahmud introduced regular office in Lahore, where the first time paper, pen, ink pot were made available. So this is the period when we have development of calligraphy started, because this was 11th century AD, 10th century, and 10th century is the period when Abbasid period had given much importance towards the development of Arabic. So I am just here to explain that the development which you find in the Islamic world do witness in India. That is why one argument. The second argument is Delhi Sultanate had made remarkable progress. After that, we have Delhi Sultanate. So by 13th century, Delhi Sultanate were in position to establish themselves and the art of calligraphy vindicated by their coins and other sources. And a very good example we can see in the time of Delhi Sultanate. The first very good example I can give from the Qutub Minar. If you see the Qutub Minar, you can see the plenty of information that are available in the form of Quranic verses on the Qutub Minar itself. And apart from Qutub Minar, many other monuments of Islamic period of Delhi Sultanate also witness very good example of calligraphic development. And that calligraphy is noticed on the wall of the monuments found in India. During this period, calligraphy art in India was under the influence of Central Asia, partly from Iran, where Nashki style was developing as the balanced script of Kufi. Taliq style were also used in used during the early Sultanate of Delhi, but Kufic was mainly used for the writing Quran. Taliq was used for ordinary book. However, Sals and Nashki style were just their development. So, all six which Ibn Muqalla has said in the time of Delhi Sultanate was under the process of development. This is very interesting to understand that, the 13th century is the period when the Central Asian countries, particularly Iran, they started giving importance to Nashki style of calligraphy. We do have very much importance, we do have given importance to Nashki style of calligraphy. That is where you see the inscription found on that Qutub Minar or many other places. The inscription, all these inscriptions have been reported in Nashki style. The third point is that a new calligraphy, which I said, Nastaliq, became the most common, and most of the Indian coinage was issued in particularly Mughal period onwards. This became Akbar period, in fact. It became the most popular script in the Indian coinage. Indian coinage, as well as other inscription, is also Nastaliq. So it was introduced during the time of Mughal. With the development of Nastaliq, popularity was the most script. Nashki declined, but other scripts such as Kufic, Sals, Nashki, Taliq, Bahar, Shikasta, Diwani, etc. do exist. What is very important, these inscriptions, this style which for the old script was not discarded. It was not given much importance. The new style was given much importance. Why it was given much importance? The basic reason is that it became easy to write. It became easy to read. So if you want to write, if you want to read it, so it became very important for the general person. I mean, because you can easily read. So all their development taken place just for the betterment. So one can read easily, one can write easily, and the style of calligraphy developed immediately. It was accepted by not only Iran, but all over India and many other parts of the country. But even that, they have also made certain changes in India, which I'm coming a little later. Earliest specimen of Nastaliq in Mughal period is seen on the mausoleum of Hazrat Nizamuddin. Was subscribed during the reign of Babur by calligrapher Mullah Zahid. Mullah Zahid was a calligrapher who has calligraphed there in the mausoleum of Hazrat Nizamuddin. So there we can also see. This was about the things. Humayun also took keen interest in the art and established a regular scientific school of calligraphy and painting. Two artists, namely Abdul Samad and Mir Sayyid Ali, were brought from Persia to Humayun's court and were asked to train the local craft. These artists were given much importance. Who is going to design? Who is going to write on the calligraphy? That is very important, and the calligrapher has given much importance. I'm coming to this section a little later. But this section I'm going to explain why it is very important. Mir Sayyid Ali, and similarly many other names are available for Akbar period and Jahangir period and Shah Jahan's period and Emine Aurangzeb period, who was the calligrapher, the court calligrapher who used to design, who used to write the thing. I'm coming for that little later. Consequently, attracted a number of Iranian artists. So during this period, quite a good number of artists from Iran used to come India, and they became the regular employee of the Mughal court. And apart from that, the number of Indian artists were also trained to write the calligraphy. So this style was developing tremendously in the court of Mughal. Now I'm coming to the main things, what is very relevant for us to understand Islamic calligraphy, numismatic. For us today is basic reason why we are meeting here to understand the coins and the calligraphy. No other thing. That was simply a background I just wanted to discuss with you because that was that one can relate the thing. So that was the reason why I have to discuss all these. So coming to the period, Umayyad Caliph Abdul Malik was the man who introduced the Islamic coinage tradition in India, in the world. And the earliest escape on his coin, if you find, that was Kufic style of calligraphy for inscribing the coin inscription. So Kufic may be considered the earliest calligraphy on the coin. One point is very relevant, and this point is for the Abd Malik. My argument is that 8th century AD is the period when you have Kufic calligraphy in the Islamic world, the introduction of in the Islamic world that was in Arab. Similar thing we can also find Arabic calligraphy on Indian coins were introduced in 8th or 9th century. Generally, it's 8th century, 9th century, okay, is absolutely correct. Century by the Amir of Sindh, that was governor of Umayyad Caliph in India, and they too use Kufic style. My argument is that the calligraphy which was introduced the Islamic world, we also adapted here. We were also having the same style of calligraphy. And I am trying to understand this calligraphy. Calligraphic development is being understood with the help of numismatic. Basic basic argument of mine is you want to understand, you can understand the calligraphic development with the help of numismatic surveillance, number one. And secondly, my argument is that the Mughal numismatic you find continuity right from the century AD to 17th century or 18th century. We have continuity of the calligraphy. Whatever calligraphy development has noticed on the Islamic world, other part of the India, we do have the same in our country. We are not lagging behind the Islamic world that they have adapted this thing or introduced later. No, we introduced, and not only that, our artists are so smart enough that they also increase, they strengthen the things, and they have made some changes also as per their own style. The things. This is a very important point. So one is 8th century is the beginning in the Islamic world. We do have in 8th century. Kufi ke part, Eastern Kufi, Nashki, Sals, Rehani, Tauti, Rekat, Tora, and Nastaliq, the style of calligraphy used in Indian coins. So when Kufic was one style, which is very popular, agreed, and after that it was discarded from the coins, and new script was introduced, which is called Nashki. Nashki we also started using. So Nashki and Nastaliq, and gradually what you find, Nashki and Nastaliq is the most common script on Indian coinage, particularly in Delhi Sultanate. Most of the coinage were issued with the Nashki, but in the Mughal period, you find Mughal and the successor of the Mughal are generally using Nastaliq style. Formal mostly, and the Sultan. Here is one example I am just giving. How I say this is Kufic style of calligraphy. No, you can easily understand this is Kufic. But my argument, my methodology is what? I just want to say my methodology, that it is based on this type of inscription. Try to compare the inscription, how the letter is written here, and the same letter is also being used in this way. So on the basis of that, we can say this is a big calligraphy. So 8th century, and these all the coins which have been shown are of Amir of Sindh. It is 8th century, 9th century, and 10th century, but commonly found coin. But it was in the Sindh region, and apart from Sindh, these are reported from the other part of the northern India also, even Rajasthan, even Punjab, and this area. These coins are very much reported. So I just wanted to say my methodology. What is my methodology to make this is the Arabic? So one point is that so we are continuity with the Islamic world, and number two is how I am trying to compare it. The coins of the of Sindh bear Arabic inscription, Kufic style calligraphy, short vertical stroke and extended horizontal line are the main feature of Kufic. Kufic script reaches perfection in the second half of 8th century and gradually became the main script for copying Quran. Kufic script had low vertical profile with almost a stroke below the main line writing. And that was the reason early period Quran is most of the 90% Qurans are found in the Kufic style. And it was today, if you ask any scholar of even the good scholar of Islamic scholar, the man who has got command of Quran and Hadith will not able to read Kufic style of calligraphy because it is not understandable today. We are in position to say Kufic calligraphy or we can able to decipher because we are working the points. So on the basis of point, we can simply decipher. Otherwise, simple reading calligraphy, Kufic calligraphy is not possible for a general student of Indian numismatics or any Indian calligraphy. That is also another type of calligraphy. This calligraphy developed digital Eastern Kufic. Eastern Kufic, we have a very good example on the coin of Ghaznavid. So by 10th century, we have another region. Now try to see the Kufic, Eastern Kufic, the Ghaznavid coinage, particularly the bilingual coins where the kalma is written on the one side and the same kalma has been translated into Sanskrit. That is also very much similar to the Kufic or Eastern Kufic. Even the coins of the successor is also there where we can see the Eastern Kufic. So first is Kufic, then Eastern Kufic. The development is witnessed with the help of all. Third point is most popular and most accepted style of calligraphy by 13th century is Naqshbandi style of calligraphy. This is developed slightly early, but in Indian context, in the coinage context, we started getting this inscription in Naqshbandi. If you see the coins of Delhi Sultan, Ayal Tamash or Razia Sultan or Balban or Nasruddin Mahmud, whosoever you are talking, all of them have adopted the similar style of calligraphy, which we call is Naqshbandi style. And this is the best example of Naqshbandi style of calligraphy noticed in Indian coinage. Apart from that, we can also see the same Naqshbandi style of calligraphy in the coins of Khaljis. These coins belong to Khalji period, Jalaluddin Khalji, Jalaluddin Firoz, and then Muhammad Shah Khalji, and then finally all these coins. All of them have adopted a similar style of Naqshbandi style. And this Naqshbandi style of calligraphy is very much similar with the example which I have taken. If one can compare, and this was my basis to make the things. It became easier for me to identify that this point. Again, Naqshbandi and Muhakkak. The other style of calligraphy during this period is, here you can see Muhakkak. There are some changes in the coin of Ghiyasuddin Firoz Tughlaq. But Firoz Tughlaq had also issued coins in the calligraphy of Naqshbandi. Naqshbandi was very much in use in that. But some of the coins have been reported where in Muhakkak style of calligraphy. Every dynasty or every ruler has that right to introduce his own style of calligraphy. It was not supposed that he is to follow the same thing. That we can see very well at the time of provincial sultan when coming to that. Every sultanate, Bahmani has their own style of calligraphy, Bengal has their own style of calligraphy, Malwa has their own. So all of them have adopted their own style. And they appointed their own calligrapher, their calligrapher developed. And these are things. So he was the man who has also given probably some importance to the Muhakkak escape, and few coins have been reported with this. But they are quite similar to Muhakkak. Rehani is another script which was developed by Ibn Muqalla. We can also see Rehani here on the coins of Bahmanis. Bahmani's calligraphy is totally different than any other calligrapher, particularly copper coins of Bahmani. If you want to see, this style of calligraphy is altogether different than any other style of calligraphy. And if the calligraphy became, in much earlier, I think 20 years back, I written one article in GNSI, and my argument was how you can identify the coins of medieval period without knowing the script, without knowing the language or script. On the basis of calligraphy, one can identify the coin. So calligraphy is one of the bases to identify the coin. For any coin collectors or any student who want to simply understand the type, if you are not able to read the coin, but one can easily identify the coins on the basis of the calligraphy. Here is some of the example of the coins of Bahmani dynasty, where you can never find this type of calligraphy on any dynasty's coins of any dynasty. And this is very much similar to Rehani style of calligraphy. I call it similar to the Rehani style of calligraphy, and both in Arabic as well as both in gold, silver, and copper. These coins have been recorded. But this most important, interesting style of calligraphy is in copper. Very interesting style of calligraphy they have developed. Then another dynasty which we call Gujarat Sultanate. Gujarat Sultan is a very important dynasty and made a lot of contribution to the coinage history of India. Not only the calligraphy, but apart from the calligraphy, they have given certain important concept. The concept of pedigree was introduced by Gujarat Sultan. Pedigree was never used with the coins of Delhi Sultan. Only some of the coins have been reported where ruler is writing the name of the father. But this is the period when we find the fourth generation name. 2 generation, 3 generation are very common. Sometimes 4 generation names are appearing in the coins of Mirza Sultan. And similarly, we can also see the coins of some of the coins of Bahmani. They also issued coins with the surname and all that. So their contribution is one is, of course, the pedigree type coinage. And apart from that, adapting their own style. They were not following the calligraphy of Delhi Sultanate. In the beginning, some of the coins are reported with the variations, but later on they made their own changes and introduced their own calligraphy. All these dynasties, either it is Bahmani or Jignsar or Malwa or Bengal Sultan, earlier they adapted the calligraphy used by their predecessor, that was Delhi Sultan, but later on they changes their own style, adapted their own style. And here is some of the example I can give you, and I call it is very much matching with the Muhakkak style of calligraphy. So I call it is Muhakkak style. So I call similar to the Muhakkak style of calligraphy. That is then we have Provincial Sultanate, Jaunpur and Bengal. These they have issued plenty of coins, and number of calligraphy have been used. 2 types of calligraphy used. Nastaliq is also used in their coinage, and then Torah is used too, and then Muhakkak and then Muhakkak is also on some of them. But the most important distinct calligraphy used by this dynasty has been termed as Torah. Torah is style of writing which was developed in India. It was many of the people they studied as a decorative form. This was not for the writing letters and all that. It was all this style of calligraphy was never used for the writing a letter to somebody or writing a documents to somebody. No, it was a decorative art they wanted to use for some important decoration. Sometimes you find this type of calligraphy is found in the, for example, in the Muslim houses, they avoid Bismillah in the name of Allah, who is the most merciful and beneficial. That is written in Tugla format, and that became the frame in the drawing room or in a living room or wherever they wanted to display. Even today, they are being used in this thing. So this is a style of Tugla decorative form. I can see this type of decorative form on the coins of Bahmani and on the coins of Jaunpur and Bengal. It's a very good example. This looks like simple horizontal line or vertical line, but this is not simple line. The letter has been designed in the form that it looks like a design. So that is very important. And why it is very important? When you see the coins of these pioneers, one has to understand one important point. If you are a ruler, you have decided to go for a one type of a coinage, whatever, and you have decided that this much information has to be accommodated in my coins. The Sultan, Al-Azam, Al-Dunya, Wal-Din, Abu Muzaffar, Muhammad Shah, on the one side, and the other side, Al-Imam, Al-Muazzam, whatever information. You have accepted the legend has been accepted, the inscription has been decided by the ruler. Then the second stage comes to the calligrapher. This is the inscription you have to adjust in the prescribed diameter, 2.5 centimeter diameter or 3 centimeter diameter, whatever diameter has been fixed, and that was given to the calligrapher. Here is the artist. Here involves artist, which is called calligrapher. The man who has been given the charge to design. One can imagine the information which was given in 2.5 centimeter diameter will need at least, if you want me to write, it needs at least 15 centimeter. But all these information have been written in a small diameter. This is artist. This is his art. Otherwise, it was not possible. So that's for the reason why you do not expect any time that all the things are very properly written on the coins, because they have to adjust the letter or words in a manner that everything should be come. And that was the reason why this type of letter, and it looks nice also, it can design also, as well as the full information should be adapted on the coins. This is the artist. And one can imagine all these information. I'm coming to the artistic form, I'm coming a little later, but just to make you understand here, I just wanted to show you this point, how this work was going on that throughout the medieval period or Islamic coinage was made in this, because the artist was the main the person who has to design this prescribed format so the die can be prepared. Again, we have some example of Tughlaq style of calligraphy. We can just see the later period when Dakhni rulers, particularly Nizam Shahi, Adil Shahi, the first point of Adil Shahi coins where Tughlaq style of calligraphy can be seen. The other is Nizam Shahi coins, where is the Kalma is written in a Tughlaq form. Very, very interesting. So this style of calligraphy was also noticed in little later. I said that Tughlaq is very popular. Even today, I said, even today, no other. Today, if you want, what is the most important calligraphy? Nastaliq. Everybody is writing Nastaliq, and the second is of course the Tughlaq. The Tughlaq is for the decoration work. But the most of the time, what we are writing for general things, that we are using the Tughlaq, writing the Nastaliq. We can also see Nastaliq at the beginning of Nastaliq. Of course, we can see the words in the coins of Sher Shah Suri and Islam Shah Suri. They have adopted this type of calligraphy. It's very much similar to the Nastaliq. But the good form of Nastaliq, if you want to see, you have to see in the time of Mughal. Particularly the Mughals, Akbar coins, particularly the Mughal, Akbar's Ilahi type coins, masterpiece coinage. I mean, you can, anybody who has got very brief knowledge of Arabic alphabet can just to read, can try to read the inscription found in the Ilahi type coins. These all information which we have given here is based on the study style of calligraphy. So we have 4 types of coins I have given, and all of them have used to write style of calligraphy. Either it is this coin or Hijri type coins or Ilahi type coins. And this tradition which Akbar introduced became popular throughout the Mughal period. All the Mughal rulers, either it is Jahangir, Shah Jahan, or Aurangzeb, all of them have adopted this style of calligraphy. And even his successors, the Mughal, particularly may mention Hyderabad Nizam, or even you can say the coins of Maratha period, they also adopted the same style of calligraphy. And this was second stage. I said each dynasty uses distinguished style of calligraphy. The Mughal coin used the Nastaliq style of calligraphy, a type of calligraphy which was developed in 16th century in Persia, based on cursive style of calligraphy, that is Tawqi and Raqqa. This style of calligraphy developed from Tawqi and Raqqa. What is Tawqi and Raqqa? That was a cursive style introduced by whom? That was by our Ibn Muqallad. From 16th century onwards, Nastaliq became the most popular style of Arabic calligraphy in the Indian subcontinent, and most of the inscriptions are found in Nastaliq. Later, Nastaliq style are round and distinct to read. That was the reason why it became so popular. Abul Fazl mentions that His Majesty Emperor Akbar shows much regard to art. This art was given much importance by Mughal Emperor Akbar and takes great interest in different system of writing. Nastaliq has especially received new impetus under him. That was Abul Fazl writing his idea. The best form of Nastaliq or Mughal coins is noticed during the time of Akbar with introduction of Ilahi type coins, which I said earlier. And this style of calligraphy remained on Mughal coins up to the year 1857. This was. I can also show some of them. You know, after Akbar period or Akbar onwards, it became easy to read the coins of Delhi's coins of Mughal, because they adapted a calligraphy which was very round, very clear. It is easy to read. So anybody who has got some knowledge of Urdu or Persian or Arabic, they can very well read it. But even if you know the good language of Arabic or Persian, reading Rehani, Muhakkak, Nashki, Ufik is difficult. So this style became very popular, and all the coinage which have been shown to you is shown. The last segment of my talk is on the medieval coinage and the artistic perspective. How artistic perspective can be understood? We have been working on the coins for what? We have been working the coin for 2 reasons: to interpret the history. you were using the numismatic evidence to interpret the history. What type of history we can interpret from the coins? So one of the thing is that the artistic performance. We can understand, of course, inscription gives a lot of information. So one can take the inscription and we can interpret the culture aspect of things. I have worked quite a good number of papers have been written on that, which shows the how culture is reflected with the help of the numismatic evidence. But I also try to work on the points of the way how numismatic, because medieval Indian points are very relevant to understand the artistic sense of the people. How artists was involved in the making these points and what type of art we can derive from the point. You know, when we talk about ancient period, we are confined ourselves to what region? We are plenty of things to understand art. We have sculptures, we have temple architecture, all these are very much relevant here. Even the coin, we have deities, we have god and goddess, we have boss of the ruler. So you can understand, you can well understand the artistic importance of that period, because the man who was making such a beautiful portrait, the deity on a particular small, tiny silver or gold coin or copper coin, that was an artist. That was a skilled artist, not only artist, the man who had got good knowledge of the subject. What is the subject? Here we are talking about what type of information we can draw from the coin, apart from the calligraphy. Of course, calligraphy is one aspect which is very important, which is the most important, not very important. So medieval Indian art in generally restricted to architecture and painting. These two art did develop well in the medieval period. Besides, even if you talk about the painting, painting was not gained much importance in the time of Delhi Sultanate or Sultanate period. It got much importance in the time of Akbar, the medieval and the Mughal, because they developed, they are given much patronage to the Mughal painting. Their miniature painting is well known through the entire world. So they have given much importance. Beside architecture and painting, the art of Islamic calligraphy has been the most popular art of the medieval, as discussed earlier. Why it was important, that was also explained. It received patronage from the rulers and the noble throughout the medieval period. Patronage was not confined from the ruler only, but the number of nobles were also very much important. They have given much importance to recognize any art. It's not only calligraphy or not only architecture. Any art, if you're talking apart from the ruler, the nobility was also one of the important segments who has developed tremendously during this. In addition to various manuscripts, it has been well represented on the wall of monument, utensil, coins, and other artifacts. That was the thing here. Here I am going to discuss with you three important aspects we can see on the coins of medieval India, particularly in Indian context. Geometrical design, medium of art. Second, floral design. Third is living motif. Of course, calligraphy I've already discussed, so I'm not going to discuss calligraphy. You know, art is not only the writing part. Various aspects of art has to be understood. So one aspect of art is geometrical design. Geometrical design is not confined to the period of medieval period, but even the ancient period coinage are well reported, well documented, where geometrical design is seen. And here I can show you some of the points you can just see here. While discussing this, you have to understand one important thing, that I'm talking about this art in 3 centimeter diameter or 2.5 centimeter diameter, not more than 3 centimeters. Just imagine the man, the artist, what geometrical design he has made. The round coin, within the round, there was a small circle, and then the double square, the legend has been fixed. Similarly, we can see the square and then different type of zigzag, various style of geometrical design have been shown. Why this geometrical design has been made? This is again a change. The ruler has assigned the task to write the information, whatever information they wanted. Either Kalma, the name of Caliph, or whatever thing decided. It was not the priority of the ruler. It's not the artist. It was the ruler who has to decide, or the team of the ruler who has to decide what to be inscribed on the points. Here, effort has been made that important inscription should not be out of line. So the design has been made in that way. So important inscription should go inside the geometrical design. For example, you see here the name of the ruler and the name of caliph is written within the square. The point number one, what is a sultan, al azam, shamsi dunya wal din, whatever information where in the name of the ruler is coming within the circle or within the square. So it should not go out of the margin portion is always out of line, difficult to read. Sometimes the date is there, mint time is there. So we always find not getting full place. So the artist has made a point that my ruler's name, the caliph name, or the kalma should not go out of line. It should be properly placed so that the design has to be. Similarly, the other point is also same. Here you see it's only the design. The Bengal Sultan coin is known for this. Bengal Sultan as well as the Gujarat Sultan coins are marvelous for that. But plenty of coins are there. I'm not going to show all the, I'm not showing all the coins here. A few examples I have just kept here to just show you how it became important. So various design, 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean octagonal, octagonal, all type of design has been made and the inscription has been made. In some of the coins of, you see the coins of Bengal Sultan, where 4 small marginal space has been made. And in one margin, 1 point, 1 inscription, second, 3, 4, all the important words have been written in them, one within the circle. So this art, geometrical art is one of the important designs which is very relevant to the student of understand how you are going to interpret. This is my interpretation, but one can interpret in different way also, but this is a very relevant point. The second point is floral design. No, Mughals, just imagine the coin of small, 2 centimeter, 2.5 centimeter, and see the floral design inside the coins. This is the coins of our Jahangir. I'm showing the 2 coins of from Jahangir. One is in the name of the from Lahore Mint, other is from Surat Mint. So 2 coins are being shown here. Apart from the inscription, calligraphy, that was Nastaliq style of calligraphy is very much prominent here. So I'm not discussing Nastaliq style of calligraphy, but I'm discussing here the floral design. You can just see the floral design is small, pretty small petal is given, the flower design is there, and then each letter has been designed and it has been made in such a beautiful manner that looks the art of. And the similar style you want to see, you can see the painting of the Mughal. If you see the painting of Mughal, is this period, this type of designing, this type of design also. I mean, my question is that the man is making out, I mean, the die-taking coins is a manual coin they are making, and out of manual, this type of perfection has been made for the tiny letters, tiny marks had not been not been left out from the coins. That was the artistic sense. So this is the second artistic sense we can draw from the coins of medieval period. Third is not very common, but I wanted to. So, if you talk about the medieval coins, of course, I know the Islamic coinage tradition does not have this type of. This is not a feature of Islamic coinage where the pictorial devices is appearing. But I am here to explain you one reason why I am going to explain it. It's not only all the coins for the Islamic pattern, the Arabic inscription, but apart from that, few examples can be given here. So this example, why I'm explaining that the man whose name was Jahangir, who has introduced coins, various type of coins. So one type was also wherein he has made the portrait of his own portrait as well as his portrait of father. So different style of portrait has been shown. It's not one coin, 2 different coins have been showing you on our website. And here you can also see the coin where Ram and Sita is depicted. Again, coins of one ruler whose name is Jahangir. They are zodiac coins. So all these things are available. So my point is that in ancient period, we have seen the portrait, we have seen the quality of portrait on the coins, either the Kushan period or Gupta period or whatever period we have. But even in the medieval period, when they have given the chance, the artist was given the chance to make the portrait, they have made the portrait in this manner. You can see the turban style. If you imagine, you can just enlarge it whenever you get the time and you can imagine what a beautiful turban style has been made in this small thing. For me, it is a very interesting, a very developed art. I do not consider it just a simple art. It's a very developed art, motifs on the coins of the medieval period. Either it is zodiac sign or it is the Ram Sita coins or many other. This is the three example I have given. Even if you want to see, you can see the Lakshmi type coins of Muhammad bin Isa. He had also issued coin where depiction of Lakshmi is the. But I can see the Lakshmi coins I am not showing here because of one reason, because it was simply a continuity of the type. It was just continued by the Portuguese coins were adapted. So here is their own style. They have not imitated. They develop their own style, what to think. So here, the three things is here. While concluding concluding my talk, I have 2-3 points to discuss with you. Present studies in attempt to understand the art and Islamic calligraphy witnessed through the medieval coinage. It reveals that the coins are the only source which show the continuous growth of the development of Islamic calligraphy. If you want to see the development calligraphy, our coins are one of the best example. You can see the development with the help of the coins. Third, did research roughly cover the period of 1,000 years, about dozen styles of calligraphy, among which Naqshi and Nastaliq were the most popular style of medieval Indian coins. Former is the mostly noticed in the coins of Sultanate, while the later is represented in the Mughal coins and their successors. The other interesting fact revealed through the numismatic evidence is that the calligraphy on the coins of a particular dynasty is also repeated on the monument of the period. This is very interesting. That I also tried to compare in my book. At least 2 examples I have given. So one example I have given for the Gujarat, another example I have given for the Bahmanis, and then because I have been to that place and I try to compare with this, so I'm just going to explain you here also. So a very interesting fact of this particular period is that, if you see the coins of Mughal period, where Nastaliq became very common. Now you try to compare the inscription found in the different places, in the monuments of the walls of the Mughal, you find Nastaliq. If you want to see the documents of that particular, you again find Nastaliq. So Nastaliq was not only confined to the one region that was a coin, one place, but it was also continued other part. Similar thing I can also show. I have seen the calligraphy coins on the Sher Shah Suri, and also I have been to Sher Shah Suri's Maqbara there in the tomb in the Sasaram. Same style of the writing has been given the same, which is there. It means they have adapted, the state has adapted, the power has adapted that you go with this particular type of calligraphy. The second example I can give you here of the Gujarat Sultan, if you see the Champanir fort of Gujarat Sultan matches with the calligraphy used on the coins of Gujarat Sultan. So Gujarat Sultan coin calligraphy and the Gujarat Sultan coins and the calligraphy found on the monument are very much similar. Similarly, calligraphy used on the Bahmani Sultanate and at Gulbarga is similar to the coins of Bahmani. In the Gulbarga, I have been to Gulbarga to see the one mosque in Gulbarga. That is Ahmad Shah II, was the ruler who has constructed. So I had an opportunity to visit there, and I found the same inscription written about on the outside the wall, outside the mosque, and the similar style of calligraphy is seen. And the similarity what I said about the Mughal calligraphy. These were the basic information which I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much again, and I thank you for listening me so patiently.
Thank you, Danish. A very rich presentation, much appreciated.